Hi everyone, welcome back to another violin and viola lesson. We've got quite a lot to get through today, so I'm going to get started with a quick warm-up that just reminds us of our posture and how we should be standing when we're playing violin and viola. So this is a very familiar one. We did this quite a lot when we were first learning. So can we just have both hands by our sides? Can you make sure you've got both feet a shoulder width apart so that you're centering your gravity without leaning to one side or anything like that? And can we just start by just gently swinging our arms by our sides, making sure you're sort of zoning in to what your shoulders are doing. They should be back and down. And what I want us to do after the count of 3 is we're just going to end up in swinging our hands up and landing in what is our vague sort of playing posture. So our left hand is out, but our shoulders are still down. There's a gap underneath our arm here. Obviously our sloth is still able to cling onto our wrists there. And with our right hand, our elbows up so that our forearm is kind of parallel to the floor. But the main thing is that our hand shape doesn't really change from what it's doing at the side. It doesn't really change at all. The only difference is we might just spread out our fingers a little bit more. But you know, when your hand's at your side, your thumb is not hyperextended at all. It shouldn't be any different when you're holding your bow. All right. So gently swinging our hands back and forward, and then after the count of 3, we're going to land in our playing posture. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Up, land. Good. Just double check everything. Check your arms parallel to the ground. Check that you've got a gap under your arm. Good. And then swinging again. Ready? And 1, 2, 3. Up and land. Good. Making sure that our shoulders are back and down. Very, very good. Can we just rotate those shoulders a little bit? I can feel mine crunching, which is not necessarily a good sign. And back. Good. And then shrug them up and release. Very good. Give your hands a bit of a shake and then grab your violins and violas. And we are going to straight away play through the scale in the new rhythm that we learnt last week. So just a reminder, this was your homework, so I'm sure you don't need any reminders, but a reminder that the new rhythm was this. And we were really focusing on our bow going long, short, 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 long. So that we can get used to that, what we call bow distribution, so just whereabouts we are in the bow. And the other thing we spent a long time doing, sort of perfecting last time, was making sure that when we go from an open A to a G, all 3 fingers go down together. They're one team. Okay, so let's give it a go together after 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Very good. If that was a little bit fast, don't worry, we're going to do it once slowly and then see if we can get back up to that tempo. So this time we'll go this sort of speed. Just do make sure you double check that you've got your little finger tapping on the top there and your thumb is a smiling face, not a frown. Okay, so we'll do it slowly like this to start off with. Okay, etc. Let's give that a go, slower tempo. 2, and 3, and 4, and. Very nice. Hopefully that caught a few more of you. This time, let's try it back up to the original tempo and see how we manage it. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. Good. I'll let you into a secret. If you can do that really easily, then you are basically ready for grade 1 violin, which is really exciting, and hopefully all of us will be there before too long. What I'd like you to do for homework this week is still practicing that same scale. We can't get too familiar with it, but this time we're going to try something called slurring. Now on violin and viola, slurring happens when we join 2 notes together in one bow. So instead of having a separate bow for each note, we slur them together like this. So you can see that my left hand changes, but my bow stays the same. So the best way to practice that is with the D major scale, because we know it inside out, back to front and upside down by now. But trying it slowly so that you can really think about, can I make sure that I'm changing the note about halfway down the bow. And then doing the same on the way back. I'm giving you some really challenging stuff, it's really exciting. On the way down, as before, you still need to make sure you put all 3 fingers down together on the D string, but as well as that, you'll notice that my right arm comes up in anticipation of crossing over onto the lower string, and you need to do the same. I went a bit too far that time. Just so that we're used to that. Let's give it a go, see how you go. So join in with me after 4, 2 notes per bow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now change bow. A string. Now 2, 1, arm up. See if you can practice that for me this week. So practicing the D major scales still practice it in the old rhythm as well if you like, the ta, ti, ti, ti. But have a go at slowing it and see how you get on with that. So last lesson we were looking at Twinkle Twinkle. We practiced it through, we went through what the notes are, we went through the Kadai, and we practiced it on its own and along to the backing track. And I said that this week, now that you've had a couple of weeks to look at it, we will just do a performance and move on, okay? Now, as we did last week, just to make sure we're in the right frame of mind, before we try and perform it, I would like us to just quickly mime through while saying the numbers. So O is an open string, 1 is first finger. This is my favourite part of the practice routine. I know it says say in pizzicato, but we're not going to pizzicato because I want us to make sure that we are singing the notes. It's my favourite part because it's honestly the best way to get some practice in, and you're not even playing. So it's a bit of a cheating way to do some practice, but it works so well if you do it properly. Okay, so it's going to go O, 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 1, 1, O, etc. All right, let's see if we can give that a go together after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. O, 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 1, 1, O. All 3 fingers down. 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, O. Second line. O, O. All 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. Again. O, O, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1. Last line. O, 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 1, 1, O. All 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, O. Good. So I'm going to assume that means that we are now ready to perform it. So when we're performing, we need to stand up. This might chop my head off, but I'm sure you'll be able to hear me anyway. I want you to go through every single stage as though this is your first ever lesson. So holding your viola or violin out in front of you, so you're stopping traffic, wear it as a silly hat, slide it down the side of your head until it reaches your shoulder, turn your head to the side, check you've got a big gap under your arm, check that your sloth is happy and can reach its leaf, put your bow on the string, tap your little finger, and check your thumb has got a smiley face. And here we go, time for a performance. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 3 down. Open A. Last line. All 3 down. Very good. Well done. So if you're not quite ready, then by all means spend more time on Twinkle Twinkle. But for now, I'd like us to move on to our next piece, which is called Footprints in the Snow. Now, in normal times, it might be that we can try and sort of resurrect this at Christmas so that we can play a nice festive piece. But by this time of year, we are so used to playing these notes that all belong in the D major scale that I don't think it will take us very long. So today I just want us to focus on the first two lines and get those really, really accurate. You'll notice that your very first note is a G. So it's going to be bringing together some of the stuff we've already been learning, by which I mean making sure all three fingers go down on the D string together to get that note, okay? But of course, it's a new piece, so practice routine. The very first thing we want to do is to look at the kadai sounds for the first two lines, okay? So 10 seconds, have a look. Okay, after 4, let's say the kadai sounds together. I will point to the music. I will be pointing to the violin side. Obviously, if you're a viola, it's the same, so just keep an eye on it. After 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ta, 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 2, ta, ta, 2, ta, 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 ta. Very good. Next stage is to say the note, and I really want this to be the stage that we're all really concentrating on, because this is something that if we can get it right, then it becomes just like a second language to us. So a reminder, violins, you are reading the G clef, also known as the treble clef, called the G clef because the little circle of the symbol circles the second line, which tells us that any note on that second line, with that second line going through it, is a G. From there, if the note goes lower on the page, then it must mean it goes lower in the musical alphabet. It is descending. So if we are starting on a G and it goes lower, we would go backwards in the circle, depending on how many notes lower it is. If it goes above G, then we go along the circle forwards, clockwise, okay? So that's how you would figure out what the notes are. Violas, you are learning the C clef, also sometimes called the alto clef, and it is called the C clef because the bracket part of it here crosses the middle line, which tells us that any note that has that middle line going through it is a C. So from there, you can also use your hand, your handy little pocket manuscript. If that there is the line that C is on, you can figure out what your note is. So the very first note I know is on the top line here. So if I was counting up from C, I would have to go C, D, E, F, and then hopefully you can figure out what your first note is. Okay, so 10 seconds to figure out what the notes are for those first two lines, please. Off you go. Okay, after 4, let's try and sing the notes together. If you're not quite sure how it goes yet, don't worry, I'll sing it and we'll get used to it. As we said last week, the funny little hashtag that is not a hashtag, it's a sharp sign telling us that it's an F sharp, but for now we'll just call it an F, okay? After 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, 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 F, 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 E, E, D, E, E, D, A, 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 B, B, A, D. Very good. Now, the next step that I'd like us to do is do exactly the same thing, but this time with the numbers of the fingers that we would be using. I'm going through this very gradually because this is the best way to learn it, okay? So knowing that our first note is a G, and knowing all of the work we've been doing in the last couple of lessons on making sure we can put all three fingers down to get that note, we should know already that that first note is 3 fingers on the D string. So we would be going 3, 3, 3, 3, and then if it goes down, we would just simply be removing 1 finger, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then it goes down again. Okay, 10 seconds to see if you can figure out what the numbers would be for those first 2 lines, please. Okay, let's see if we can sing through that together. What I'd like you to do while you're doing that is I would like you to be miming it as well, because I think that really, really helps. So we know we're starting on D3, so violas, that is your second string from the right, violins, your third string from the right, starting on 3. Here we go after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, oh, 1, 1, oh. Now onto the A string. A, oh, 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 1, 1, oh, oh, oh. Very good. I'm still determined to whisper our rests so that we know exactly how it goes. Fantastic. Let's try and pizzicato it, but I'd like us to still sing the numbers as we do it, just so we're really internalising what these notes sound like. Okay, so instruments up. Get your thumb on the corner of that fingerboard. Get your first finger ready, starting on D3, which should sound like that. After 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, oh, 1, 1, oh. Now A, oh, 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 1, 1, oh, oh, oh. Very, very good. The main thing to look out for is just making sure that you know that when I'm singing O, you know whether I mean open D or open A. And if you're looking at the music, open D is lower than an open A. So viola, you should, well, viola and violin, we should recognise it from our open strings anyway, but open D here, open A here. Violins, open D right at the bottom here, open A somewhere in the middle there. Okay, great. Let's try and play those first 2 lines again, but this time with the bow. Okay, we're still going to be singing the numbers. We're going to do that just until we're really familiar with it. Okay, so starting on 3, bow on the string. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, oh, 1, 1, oh, 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 1, 1, oh, oh, oh. Fantastic. Now let's try and play it again, just those first 2 lines, but let's try it without singing the notes. Okay, instruments up after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good, and hopefully you remember to count those beats at the end for the rest. Excellent. Now, I know that I'm doing this very gradually, but this is a piece that is a bit longer than any of the pieces we've done so far. So I want to make sure that we're tackling it really accurately. You will, however, notice, I'm sure, that once we've learned that first line, we've also learned the third line. And then it just leaves the last 2 that are slightly different. Okay? So what I'd like you to do for homework this week is to practice that D major scale, slurring 2 notes per bow, and to practice the first 3 lines of Footprints in the Snow. So a reminder that the first line and the third line are exactly the same. So even if you just practice the first 2 lines, you're basically practicing the first 3 lines. Then next lesson we'll look at the rest of it and we'll start getting it ready for performance. Have a good week.